Hello, thanks for joining us on the news. I'm Ruth Aguele. My sign language interpreter is Shagun Ajayi. We'll bring you the headlines now. Bilateral ties. Chinese President Xi Jinping meets world leaders on sidelines of Belt and Road Forum. World Bank expresses willingness to strengthen collaboration with Federal Road Safety Corps in the area of data collection. And Senate confirms appointment of nominees of head EFCC and NSIPA. Call it a season of appointments and you may not be wrong. Nigeria's Senate has remained consistent in its commitment to further confer on the appointees the authority to exercise their powers as provided in the Constitution. It was a turn of the new chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ola Olukoyede, the secretary, Mohammed Hamman Joda, who took they stand at the Red Chamber to inform Nigerians what they have in the kitty to curb corruption. We'll join our National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali for an update on that.
So Senate has just concluded the exercise of screening and confirming the appointments of 3 nominees of Mr. President. First, it was the National Coordinator of the National Social Investment Program Agency, NSIPA, Mrs. Halima Shehu, and then the 2 appointees to head the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. That is the chairman of the commission, Ola Olukoyede, and the secretary, Mohammed Hammanjuda. Now, yesterday, the communication of Mr. President, 2 letters were transmitted to the Senate on these screening and confirmation, which were read during plenary by President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and then 24 hours after this exercise was conducted. It is in line with the provisions of the laws establishing these 2 agencies of government, and the senators during the confirmation hearing asked very, very extensive questions that had to do with the functions of the agencies and how they are going to improve on what is already on ground. If it's EFCC, how the agency is going to improve on the fight of the federal government on corruption, and then the NSIPA for social welfare, how that is going to impact on the lives of Nigerians. So, and earlier, before the screening exercise commenced, we also had the Senate President announcing some appointments, that is to fill the vacancy of the Deputy Majority Leader that was appointed as a minister by Mr. President, that is David Umahi. Now the Senate President has announced someone to take up that position, that is Senator Lola Ashiru from Kwara State. He was before now the Deputy Chief Whip of the Senate, and today he has been appointed as the Deputy Majority Leader of the Senate. Also appointed into the leadership or the principal officer position of the majority leadership of the Senate is Senator Webonyi from Ebonyi State. He has now been appointed as the Deputy Chief Whip of the Senate to take up the place of Lola Ashiru, who has been elevated to the position of the Deputy Majority Leader. So this is what the Senate did today. It's back to you in the studio.
All right, that happened earlier during plenary today. Chinese President Xi Jinping entered into multiple bilateral meetings with world leaders on the sidelines of the Belt and Road Forum he's hosting in Beijing. Now, these sideline meetings are held privately in talks about individual countries' needs for overall development. Kolo Mohammed will tell us about it.
Opening the meeting, President Putin said despite the current geographical conditions, when possibilities of maintaining contact and developing relations are limited, Russia manages to preserve and build ties with many European countries, including Hungary. He was referring to Moscow's strained relations with the West over its war on Ukraine. With China, President Putin said growing number of world conflicts and threats strengthen the tie between his country and China. Being a major trading partner to over 140 countries and regions globally, President Xi Jinping said China is opening its door wider to the world. He applauded the increasing size of global participants of the Belt and Road Initiative championed by China, to which he made a pledge of fresh $100 billion going forward. Presidents Xi Jinping and Putin are said to have discussed the current situation in the Middle East in their private meetings in Beijing. Kolom Mohammed, NTA News.
The United Nations and its partners in Nigeria are intensifying actions to cope dangers posed by marine plastic pollution and community participation in its collection and recycling efforts. This move is targeted at saving sea lives and an improved sustainability and effective waste management in Nigeria. Charles Alpha reports.
The United Nations has estimated that 90% of all seabirds have ingested tiny plastics at some point in their lives. And with urbanization and population growth, about 8 million metric tons of plastics are now being thrown into the sea every year, posing great dangers to aquatic lives and man himself. In tackling this problem, the United Nations, the Initiative for the Advancement of Waste Management in Africa, and allies are intensifying awareness among host communities and have identified some water bodies in the Federal Capital Territory for the purpose of ridding them of plastic pollution.
Plastic waste is a menace to the whole world, and Nigeria is not left out. More importantly, because of our population in Nigeria.
So what we're doing is to establish recycling clusters in communities in these areas to encourage communities to start participating in source segregation and recycling.
The kind of plastic we used to see during rain season or ordinary days like this is so too much. But recently it has reduced with this project.
In order to realize this goal, the program targets the establishment of 10 recycling clusters and 2 recycling hubs, empower 500 women recyclers in the communities, 100 local waste pickers, and 15 waste aggregators. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Global climate change crises have raised its head further in the Amazon region of the world as water levels hit lowest level in more than a century. Kolom Mohammed reports that marine activities are witnessing a discouraging state.
The Amazon water level hit its lowest point in over a century. This has adverse effects on life and living imperatives and economic activities which are the mainstay of many South American countries. These activities are experiencing slow returns as even boats that move human passengers are grounded as cargo ships required to graze the business engine in South America cannot sail. Boats are seen stranded at Davis Marina as water level at the major river port on Brazil's Amazon rainforest hit its lowest point in at least 121 years. The routes taken by boats and ships have been hit by severe absence of water in Santa Helena community and others, all usually connected via commerce and trade, all now stand still, and boats and ships cannot be supported by the current water level. People now walk on foot at Davis Marina due to extremely low water levels, at some points virtually absent. Recent global interfaces held by the United Nations had raised concerns over climate change. Kolom Mohammed, NTA News.
Director General, Directorate of Technical Aid Corps, Yusuf Buba Yakub, has called on newly deployed volunteers to always ensure that they carry high the Nigerian flag wherever they find themselves in the course of their service. This was at the deployment of 2 Nigerian judges to the Gambia. Kelvin Ehunwahi reports.
The Technical Aid Corps scheme is an important instrument of soft power diplomacy Nigeria has employed since 1987 to consolidate relations and ties with 35 African, Caribbean, Pacific countries, including multilateral organizations where the scheme's volunteers apply their arts since the setting up of the Corps. At the deployment of 2 justices from the Office of the Chief Justice of the Federation to the Gambia, Dr. Buba informed that in spite of maintaining volunteers in 10 different countries and a number of organizations at the moment, more countries have continued to indicate interest in the scheme.
We have had justices representing us in Gambia for some time now, and so we don't expect anything less from you. We know Nigerians are hardworking people, and also we always excel wherever we find ourselves all over the world.
The 2 judges are Rukayat Ayola Oremen and Mohammed Lekan Owolabi. Meanwhile, the reform process at DITAC is progressing with the latest workshop for the ICT and media officials to enhance effective deployment of social media tools for projecting the activities of the agency. Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
The World Bank has expressed willingness to strengthen collaboration with the Federal Road Safety Corps in the area of data collection. This was made known when the practice manager, Africa Transport World Bank, paid an official visit to the Federal Road Safety Corps headquarters in Abuja. Oyeyemi Ajayi reports.
Advance so that at least they will prepare because of that golden hour.
This visit by the practice manager, Africa Transport World Bank, was to get first-hand information on the developed data collection system and modernization work of the Federal Road Safety Corps. The area of interest now is how to improve road safety in Nigeria, as well as provision of technical assistance to the Corps.
In Nigeria, we still have a large project essentially managed with the Ministry of Agriculture on the rural roads, and I understand that the FRSC is helping a bit. So after having received our help, you are helping our projects, including for the training of some of the officers under this project, and also how impressed I am with what I have seen so far of what the FRSC has done.
Corps Marshal FRSC Dauda Bill extolled long-standing relationship with the Global Bank, especially in the area of road safety administration, which is evident in the downward trend of crashes in the country.
Areas that we think we can further collaborate and areas of assistance that we need are to assist in achieving the 50% RTC fatality reduction in line with the UN Decade of Action. We wish to request collaboration in the following areas. 1. Capacity building for FRSC personnel, especially on road safety audit and crash investigation.
The Corps Marshal, amongst other things, sought the World Bank's assistance in facilitating staff exchange programs to acquaint personnel with relevant skills for greater performance. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
The Nigerian Institution of Highway and Transportation Engineers is urging the speedy presidential assent to the road sector reform bills with a view to addressing the existing constraints in the sector. And this comes as the institute buys the idea of the Minister works on the use of cement for road construction. Let's hear more from Justin Bem Onyi.
These are engineers, professionals and experts in the design, implementation and maintenance of road infrastructure. They are here to deliberate on the state of road infrastructure in the country. With the recent clamor for a change from flexible pavement system in the country, the experts want rigid pavements to be encouraged for use at heavily trafficked routes and sections with poor subgrade. The Federal Ministry of Works has also been enjoined to begin to control axle loads on Nigerian roads.
The road sector required basic reforms. The reform of the road sector is a solution to what we are having, because when you build a road, the moment you build a road, the maintenance starts from the day you begin to use that road.
But whichever one you are constructing, please engage the codes and standards, against the specifications and make sure you do your work in line with whatever specification that you have approved. That is the only time the road will last for as long as you want it. Concrete road definitely will last longer, for 40, 50 years in the first instance. Asphalt road can be designed to last up to 20, 25 years in the first instance. Again, both roads require elements of maintenance.
It is good that even if where you are is good, you should want to make things better. The idea is that we should be continuously making things better, no matter how good the things are.
The Institute recommends that the federal government expedite actions in completing the Ajaokuta Steel Complex with a view to enable access to local steel production to reduce the costs of concrete pavement construction. Justin Bemuni, NTA News.
All right, let's go on a quick break. We're back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Beyond renewing the hope of Nigerians, the current administration is now aiming to renew the belief of the citizens in the unity and greatness of the country. President Bola Tinubu is setting these as a priority, as he has directed the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, to institute a national discourse to facilitate this goal. State House correspondent Musbahuddin Wahab reports.
A restructured nomenclature comes with additional responsibility and new charge for the Information and National Orientation Ministry. The presidential mandate to literally reset the ministry was in mind as the minister recently visited the 8 agencies under his watch. The minister was back in the presidential villa to brief his principal, and the meeting was direct as much as the new instruction.
Mr. President has given me a marching order to see that Nigerians believe in this country once again. And we are coming up with a national discourse on orientation and reorientation, as you will say, so Nigerians can believe in their country. You know that people don't believe even in leaders, leaders that they themselves have elected. Flags are not flying anymore. You go to government offices, you don't even see the symbol of our collective existence flying even in public buildings. We're bringing that about. We're bringing back this concept of a discipline that Nigerians should have, patriotism, believe in the nationhood that our founding fathers have told us. So it's going to be a new Ministry of Information and National Orientation, and national orientation is going to be at the center of it.
The administration has found a missing link and saw the need to revive the concept of nationhood and sense of patriotism. This it is also targeting to achieve with the contribution of responsible media.
Mr. President believes in press freedom, he believes in the freedom of expression, and he's not going to gag the press in any way, shape or form. He's going to work assiduously to ensure that the Nigerian press that has been free is even freer. But like I said all the time, this freedom also comes with enormous responsibility. You can't just say what is not right because you say you are enjoying press freedom. There will be freedom, but it has to be responsible freedom.
And as the minister marches on with the presidential order, the expected end result is a much more vibrant Ministry of Information and National Orientation. From the State House, Musbah Wahab, NT News.
Rule 001 in the practice of journalism is to leave out what you're in doubt of. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, gave this reminder when he played host to the permanent delegate of Nigeria to UNESCO, Dr. Hajo Sani, where he restated government's resolve to guarantee the safety of journalists and freedom of information. Salihu Gwanara reports.
Discussion was on the efforts by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, to ensure the speedy implementation of the adoption of the 2022 Abuja Declaration on Global Financing for Media and Information Literacy, where decision was taken to establish an international media and information literacy in Nigeria as a UNESCO Category 2 institute. Dr. Hajo Sani said the process of establishing the institute has remained a subject that requires follow-up action from all stakeholders, especially the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation.
Given its importance in promoting freedom of expression, safety of journalists through fight against disinformation, misinformation, and a major text of the decision is that the government of Nigeria will submit a proposal for the establishment of the said institute by the session of the executive board coming up in April 2024.
Now, the decision to establish the institute here is a big win for our country. And I assure you that the federal government will do and will provide everything needed to ensure that the institute takes off. I know that there have been some delays, mostly on account of government transition that we have recently gone through. We will work to make up for the lost time. So on our part as ministry, we work and collaborate with you to see that that institute takes off. It's very dear to us. It's one of those things that we want to see have one of those key benefits that we want to have as a result of our membership of UNESCO.
The minister assured that as a product of the media, President Bola Tinubu is also an advocate of press freedom and is determined to key into the future programs of UNESCO in the interest of Nigeria. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
A bit of politics here. Former governorship hopeful in Imo State, Basil Maduka, has pledged to work for the victory of the Labour Party in the November governorship election. Addressing journalists in Abuja, Mr. Maduka, who had taken the party to court to secure the ticket, said after the Supreme Court judgment, which has confirmed Senator Ethan Achonu as the authentic candidate, he's ready to join the party campaign team in order to secure victory for the party.
It was after the governorship, the presidential election. A lot of people from nowhere said they want to run for governorship. Some were funded, some were asked to come and, scatter the party. Some were sent to make sure that there's confusion in the party. There was confusion in Imo primaries. So we always know that party is supreme, and that was it.
On health, meeting the 95-95-95 target of ending HIV by 2030 dominated discussions at the third biannual review and stakeholders engagement meeting. Coordinating Minister of Health, Professor Muhammad Ali Pati, unveiled the 4-point agenda on health reform in line with keeping with the renewed hope agenda of the present administration. Basi Taipang reports.
The path that ends HIV by 2030, experts at this meeting say, will boost progress towards achieving many other sustainable development goals. This review meeting, therefore, is looking at the achievements and challenges of HIV response over the years.
Today, what we're going to do is we will focus on the how and how to fully integrate HIV services across the broader spectrum of health delivery services to meet the 95-95-95 goal by 2025.
Though Nigeria is said to be on track with HIV response, the Minister of Health representative said the Nigerian government will sustain financing towards improving healthcare outcomes, including HIV.
Are evident in the expanded delivery of HIV testing, treatment, and care services, culminating in a noteworthy achievement of above 90% in each of the UN's 95-95-95 tasks.
I'm glad that on this front, we have made significant progress. If we are not at the forefront, we are among one of the few countries that have summoned the courage to discuss sustainability, to look at putting structures in place for HIV response sustainability, service integration beyond 2030.
The need for states to be supported to own HIV response came up strongly. Basi Taipang, NTA News.
National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has destroyed substandard, falsified, expired and unwholesome regulated products worth over 500 million naira. Haman Jabani reports that some of the drugs were seized from drug hawkers.
The products destroyed include drugs made up of psychoactive and controlled substance, antibiotics, vegetable oil, 1 food container of unregistered FRSC instant powdered milk handed over to the agency by the Nigerian Customs Service, cosmetics, chemicals, expired and unwholesome products voluntarily handed over by compliant companies, non-governmental organizations, and associations of community pharmacy of Nigeria. Director General of NAFDAC, who was represented, said this is the result of adopting a proactive approach by engaging political, traditional, and religious leaders, media, and other Nigerians on the dangers of dealing with substandard and falsified medicines.
There are products that are meant that have expired, that are also violative in the sense of being unwholesome. Also, there are products, most of them seized from people who are criminally minded, who are carrying out illegal activities of distributing these unwholesome and falsified products.
Stakeholders say they will continue to work with NAFDAC for the good of the nation while calling on Nigerians to support government agencies in safeguarding the country.
You know, SON and NAFDAC are sister agencies. So when it comes to the area of regulation, SON and NAFDAC actively collaborate.
And we are here to present all the expired drugs that are domiciled within the community pharmacies. We brought them together and we have brought it to NAFDAC for this destruction today, so that it will not find its way back into the circulation.
The estimated street value of the product destroyed is over 500 million naira. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
All right, let's find out how Thursday's weather will look like. We're done. Thank you for your time. I'm Ruth Aguele. My sign language interpreter is Shego Ajayi. Bye.